split, and then the second time, obviously, the 2-7. Which TSM bank are we going to get here is the question.
Is the big question indeed. The finger is being bent by this side of ELV. Attackers will have to be a little bit more careful with the initial gunfights they will take, due to the fact, of course, that the Finka has the opportunity to heal you back up to that full HP. Not having any of that as of yet, right here, right now. The operator band's coming through. Kate as well. Gone is going to be making sure that the hatches will be opened up just a little bit easier. And if you now see these bands, there's one thing that stands out, and that is the fact that there is going to be a Thatcher on the board.
Thatcher's on the board. We're going to see those hatches play themselves a little bit more prominently, potentially, unless they go for taller holds. And obviously, it's that creative hitting of heads of two different regions with a single take. And that might be where that Dark Zero score, that sort of asterisk, sit for TSM's hold here. So, although they are very talented, although they are a good bank team and had that knock, there's nobody at this tournament outside the other NA teams that know them that well. There's nobody else that's sort of going for them and driving into those scenarios. Dark Zero had everything. Everything they needed, everything they could read from their take, and they needed, to be fair, everything just to obviously ensure that they survived.
Yeah, survival was on the hands there for Dark Zero in that matchup. Not that much for the sides of TSM. However, now there is something to play for. It is going to be that extra life. It's the match less you have to play. And if you really like stage time, and if you really like screen time, that moment you might decide to actually go for the second to third place. But if you want to win the tournament, it's always better to go and do that first seed, making sure that you do not have to play the extra match, do not have to show extra stats as a result. Now, we'll be seeing a little bit of a hold coming down onto the blue stairs. As per usual, ADS is set up around that position. Might even see some discs being used as well. And if I have to take a gamble, Merc probably the one to play there.
The Echo going to have the full stretch here around the back. They obviously have the extension of the mirror. They have everything in the pockets with the smokes and the C4 to potentially try and stop the plant onto the default spot. It is your usual approach. It was before the remodeling, and although some teams have gone with the alternate towards the vault side itself and see if they can express via the new hatch an express delivery of a kit towards the site. Either way, it's still at least familiar, and it is still at least an opening to the top, though. A top-down clear, and with Zero being a bit of a driving force, we've already talked about it a couple of times, he is so good on this map.
Yeah, a lot of open spaces you can use those cameras for, and even if you are on that bottom floor, you might even be able to dig one through the hatch, get a bit of a zap off on a PC utility, or maybe even a mirror window if you're lucky. But as we're on that bottom floor, and there currently seems to be just a singular person somewhat off the side. It's Merc, of course, on those blue stairs. He is more than likely going to be the first point of contact here, unless Elevate decides to go for a bit of a backdrop through the elevator, through, of course, the lobby hatch as well. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right here. Can openers being used, making sure the elevator will be opened up and at least to provide a point of pressure. It was a bit worrisome, you could almost say, when we saw Cyclops play on this site. The elevator got some traumas from it at that point. So let's hope that Elevate doesn't make the same mistakes.
They're going to see if they can try and put some pressure back down. And obviously, as soon as that hatch gets popped, you usually want to try and pull yourself out of that blue stairs, depending on how long you try and stick it. And with that support player in that position, Merc has a little bit more life he can give. They have that little box of hefty servers in the corner. They have that potential for an over-arc round, but it's achieved, actually, that suffers the first dabs of damage. That support player, if he goes, they're really in a tight spot. Merc.
Oh, what a shot!
Oh, filthily removes DCH from the little pop-in cupboard and popped right out and sends himself back in, and that is such a clean take.
Grenade being tossed in from the bottom, however, doesn't roll in far enough. It's the Wamai disc that actually catches his, and as the shield gets removed, Merc still is close with a shotgun. Has one more smoke canister as well, is going to be good for about 10 to 15 seconds of extra wasted time. He gets the shot in, but Nerix lives and gets the kill. It's a 4-on-4. Flashbangs now come down on the side of a Chief who needs to hold on. Finds the very first kill. Sees more coming down, however, as he sees the head coming through. It's an Agiri with the very first kill. The diffuser gets dropped before he Agiri gets traded out. Nerix wins out that gunfight. There's a 2-on-2. 20 seconds left on the clock. There's still a player up from above, and Geo is currently not playing onto the mirror window here. So they need to make sure that this plan doesn't go down as Agiri goes for the drop and tries to go aggressive. He covers off a potential C4 toss right here. Gets swung. However, Bolo picks up the kill. Nerix needs to go for the kills as a result. And the first round is TSM's.
Elevate, they soared a bit back. They were able to try and drive themselves down on the hatch after losing the players, obviously, elsewhere. TSM, it was a bit back and forth. They did enough to get themselves onto that 15-second sort of marker with the 2 versus 2. They played it perfectly. They pulled themselves back. They waited for the pressure of the plant. They knew it was going to come through. And then at that point, they started to move. At that point, they looked for the crossfight. They looked for the door itself and saw if they could try and piece something together here. They have themselves a start. And as they were saying on the desk, you got to be used to an aggressive team when you come up against Elevate.
You have to be, indeed. Elevate likes to bring that aggression, but we've heard a little talk about it as well from Stokes and Blue, for example. They love to play against aggression, apparently. They really like this aggressive playstyle that Elevate might bring. This is where they could thrive. And let's see if that indeed will be the case. If they manage to find the counters to whatever quick push Elevate will be putting on the board, whether or not they will be able to be broken as well by the sides of Elevate there. And they start off strong, of course. A nasty shot from Merc with that SMG-11 onto the top of those blue stairs into the small side janitor's office. Starts there strong, and then suddenly it's a 4v5 situation, and they still need to push you on those blue stairs.
Opening up those feet angles, making sure that as soon as somebody goes for a bit of a hot hop into open, any pace that might be applied might be well cut short by cutting them off directly at the ankles, the stretch. All the way to the top, you'll sort of see the hold from underneath, usually utilized with some thread of intel here. They've got the Echo drones and potentially the Mozzie Pests if they can try and catch somebody, but often you'll see it with a pulse, or you'll see it with another beat and read of anything active, and then suddenly C4s are underneath those players as they go for the swing in. Elevate's stacked. They're waiting to see if they can try and get some of these deeper camera angles. Again, we talk about how far they can go in and how much they can reveal when played properly and placed in positions that, well, usually aren't taken that quickly.
For sure. Chala still around near that area, looking through these ankle holes, waiting to make sure no one is going to be jumping in through the window on the side. As the rest of TSM is taking some pressure from the top floor. There's 3 members actually on the Elevate side that look to take the lobby, 2 to take the top of squares. So, well, sure, they will be calling that out soon. It's actually a drone that has been caught by the side of TSM that will call out that there seems to be a little bit of pressure coming down from the side of the Beepers now, and a C4 gets tossed over, and it's the entry for TSM. It's a good start yet once more as the Yana gone, and with that, a lot of utility, and of course, a very important player on the side of Elevate out as well.
It was an uncontested swing there from Bolo. He was able to get that off. He was able to sort of pop it. And when you're throwing a C4 off the rim of Banana right down to that double door, you expect something back, at least, especially with that new widened opening, the second sort of doorway that slips yourself through. Even grenades bounced up. Some modicum of pressure back in for him not to be able to get into that position. Nerix, he's gone deep, all the way around underneath. The calls are coming through, and Geo is going to be the first one he might meet here, just around green, the bottom of the stairs itself. He's waiting patiently. The softs will give him a bit of a lead in, but Nerix, whether he becomes the driver, waits for a push elsewhere, either way, it's going to be noisy.
Just keeping an eye on him in the meantime as well as Chala is repositioning some of these yokais, try and find a little bit of a better angle. Yeah, a little bit of a phone call coming through, giving away some of the positions, and Merc actually tosses a C4 out towards the front desk, picks up the diffuser, picks up Sapper, but due to that nitro being tossed, they have no clue that the diffuser has been dropped. And it's Geo now that makes his way up on these main stairs, hoping to find one in the back. DCH finds a kill to achieve as he just exited the janitor area. Nerix now coming up as well from below, so it might be a little bit of a double down. It's going to be the trade that comes out in the end, though, but it's only up to DCH. He is all alone against the 3 men of TSM here. Is he going to be able to clutch this out, or is TSM going to be able to put a second one on the board?
Well, DCH is concerned about multiple angles, and Merc's not making anything even easier. Popping up and spraying down with the SMG as he's able to pull a body before. There's one. Bolo from the top rope, quickly removed. They've still got to try and get the kit in the case inside the site itself, and they know that that's probably not going to happen, especially if Merc does that 2 in a row for TSM.
They have it. 2 in a row. And with that, they are starting off strong here. But we have to always remember it is only the first half. And it's only round 3 that will just start now. So even if TSM have a 2-0 lead now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are, you know, already done with the match. They've already won. We're no longer in these kind of clear cuts area where, first of all, it is defense, so that would never be the case. But if an attacking team would have won 2 rounds, it would have been over. Yeah, we've had that in the past, actually, where maps were so defense-sided that if a team managed to get 2 attacking rounds, people would often already call it. It's over. That's the game. It's won.
Hey, remember when I talked about Pulse being possible? I mean, Brawler keeps swapping off of him for a second, but he's saying that, hey, when I talked about Pulse being possible, he's in the hands of Bolo. And that is a pressure point here because it used to be on Old Bank that the second site for a lot of people was that sort of mid-core of that middle floor. It was underneath CEO, you sort of set yourself up with the vertical hold, and it was almost like 2 takes that you would reverse because open was really bad. It was, you can sort of get underneath with the Pulse and keep a watch on it. To be honest, you don't see a huge amount, at least in Europe, from our major perspective, of teams go for the stretch and APAC of trying to hold on to it. But Bank has always been a pretty good NA map. It's a place where they do like to come and a place where they like to sort of push themselves further and further and further. And I think Pulse, for me, is synonymous with the plays that are possible on Bank. And to be honest, if a player's going to pull it off, it's likely that Bolo's name is alongside that list. Yeah, for sure. He's trying to play with S-Scanner now already. We'll be giving away some of that information as he drops all the way down to the basement just to be a little bit more safe. But he might have actually seen a bit of a heart scanner there. He definitely has been droned out now, and that gives Bolo an idea of the fact that he might be pushed by Unigiri. Who's the IQ? Is the counter actually of that Pulse is trying to hunt him down before he does any too much damage. Doesn't know, however, the Bolo's already long gone, looking to go back up to the middle floor and try and figure out if he can maybe find someone with a C4 from there. Nay, stopped at the top but popped off that mirror window, just gave the idea of where it is, and they're going to give themselves that little bit of width. Here's DCH to offer something back as well, potentially a drone up first, but they might try and burn towards the top of Banana if they get a read on a player there. You'll see a lot of a drive towards Kanto, and there it is. Oh. What a great little use of a Twitch drone. This is one we're going to see in every single ring game from now on as well, because you can just get rid of every single piece of utility on the Banana side of things. And now as Flash Wings are being tossed in, Kanto gets opened up, and there is going to be even the barricades that get destroyed. There is little to no space that TSM can safely play behind outside the actual side and the surrounding rooms itself as well. There is going to be some fire on the Kanto spot due to a shield to be destroyed from the side of Achieved. Bolo is still on the bottom floor, however, so even if Elevate try and go for a push right now, they're not quite sure where he will pop up, and that is kind of a danger point. That's kind of a joker that the side of TSM have. He can just turn around the entire round if he chooses the right moment to strike. Slow reads on all the players that are trying to steady their way across. That'll all be fed and filtered to the ones at the top of saying they're going for a bit of a lobby take here. There's at least 3 bodies that Bolo's been able to pick up. They're just putting pressure onto Charla, who's keeping either side of the softed mirror window. He's making sure he can keep himself going, but the push actually comes over the top of Banana. The C4 does just catch the tail end of DCH, and Onigiri in the meantime has found his way onto the back stairs. There's still a loose player underneath him, and the longer this round goes on, well, there's actually a chance the Pulse won't come back up because he can do just as much damage from far away as Nia. However, Onigiri, he's going to set himself for a first fight here. They need to try and take some pressure. They need to try and put some pressure back in to allow Napu to be able to get deeper and deeper. 20 seconds, and he sees the first Ingenitors. Can't quite get the connection that he wants, but it opens the door for this. A 1 in a second. There it is. Onigiri suddenly drives them through. Achieved with a C4 is in a good position. They also obviously still have a Pulse with a C4. They're going to see if they can position themselves. Bolo, he's looking for it. He's going for it. He's getting it. No, it doesn't quite connect.
It is safe. He was on the top of the concrete there, and as Onigiri picks up yet another kill, it seems like the side of Elevate might be able to pull this one off. Achieved. Looking to the left, actually, he did not, and Nerix is going to be able to pick up that kill. They found a safe spot to go for the plant. They made it work. They made it stick, and as a result, the remaining members of TSM, they quickly had to hurry back to the site, and this is a little bit of an oversight coming through from them. They did not quite know exactly where the Elevate push was coming down from, and even though they had a great opening, it was the player that was coming in. Onigiri from the back, able to pick up that double. That really changed the round for the side of Elevate.
It was well played. It was that little moment, as you pointed it out during it. He'd got himself onto a bit of solid ground there. He'd got himself some protection. There was a read and a huge amount of soft floor, and just that little few inches that kept him safe to finalize that plant. Suddenly, the round is entirely shifted. Suddenly, it's in a very different phase. But 2-1, there is still this swing round. We are still halfway in the midst of this, and Bank is TSM's pick. They have more than enough drive, and let's see if they can try and redo their lockers take from before their hold even.
Yeah, I was going to say, the hold instead. Or a retake if they feel like, you know, just give it away, open up all the hatches, try and return the favor within 45 seconds. Sort of retakes done quick. Bit of practice already for the attack itself. Either way, 1-2, TSM. The extra round on the board for now, but it should have been 2 if it wasn't for Onigiri coming in from the back. Or Super Onigiri, we have to call him.
The classic.
Still a big fan of him, you know. It's, ever since he left APAC North, it isn't the same.
The approach from Open, I believe that was, trying to get a little bit of an eye onto the players that have otherwise got themselves stretched. Charla is deep inside the garage. He's got eyes on his own cover and approach there, but obviously if he wins a fight, wow, Merc actually wins the first one out. Onigiri goes down. Nay is able to find Merc and get some revenge there from the width and the wide swing, but they've lost the IQ, and when you still have Echo and you still have that danger on the board, it might turn into a problem a little bit later. Bolo, he's doing his best to try and stick in and stick the fight back against them, holding on to a bit of territory here and forcing them into an uncomfortable situation with Charla giving the hot pings on the relevant information. Loses a drone, but it does look like he wants to eye his way up the staircase and offer Bolo a little bit more of a wing of support, but actually the rotations come through. He's found Achieved and an open hatch.
And there's going to be a reinforcement available for the side of TSM. Not quite sure where they kept it in pocket or if they have any idea with it. Closing up the rotation they have, though, is going to be a bit too dangerous, so that is not something they opt to go for right now. Also, mind you, hatch in open area, open. The hatch left in the office on the side is still soft. As a result, there is going to be an easy way in for the side of Elevate if they do manage to get this first floor control. However, TSM has one member on either side, and the Sapper takes care of one of these Banshees. They now know as well that the pressure seems to be coming in from around the actual main stairs area. Hatches will be opened up from the very top floor to provide some more mobility and some more angles as well towards the TSM players. And as they start dropping in, they forfeit this first floor and decide that it's time to fight it on the actual site with a 4-on-4 situation.
Wasting as much time as possible there, and they've done it very well. Elevate, they finally got open, but they still have the work on the site left to do itself. And punching your way through a castle is going to take a little bit of precious time, but you can see they're still trying to set themselves up the drones to go for the push itself. You assume that Sapper is on his way to get the vault hatch and the opposite side, so they can maybe try a little bit more width. No, he's gone for this as well, and they obviously have the hatches that were previously opened by the defenders too. 40 seconds. We can hear more and more steadily opening. They just miss the slip away of Geo.
Sapper is actually ready to drop through the actual vault hatch, not the elevator one. And now some support seems to be coming down, whereas Nay's trying to take away the advantage and the attention as well from the side of TSM. It looks like they might be trying to sneak in from the back here to see if they potentially could sneak in a plant or strike them in from the back once more. However, it seems like there might be someone aware. Achieved is going to be able to spot one as Bolo picks up the very first kill. It's a snake that they managed to take out right after, but the diffuser can be recovered as there is going to be Nerix on 1 HP in that actual gunfall, takes the kill onto Charla. 2-on-1 situation. The time is starting to run out and Geo gets the very final kill. TSM able to win in yet another round right here. They tried to get creative on the side of Elevate, drop through the vault, try and take control through red. However, it seemed like they were aware of what was going on partially due to the flashbangs that were about to be tossed in right before they dropped. That gives it away. Hey, there is 2 people coming now, but of course you risk that if you don't do it, there's people close in the corner that are not going to be blind and will take you out before you reach the ground.
Back to open, and that was 2 pretty solid lockers hold, and you know, what we sort of measure that metric by isn't the fact that it came down to a bit of a 3 versus 2 or a 2 versus 2 or whatever, but it's the fact of how much time Elevate had left and what was still standing for those remaining players of TSM, because they weren't in these uncomfortable situations in those holds. It was Elevate that was still forced to go for these big plays. You look at the fact there that they still had Garage, they still had Gold Vault, they still had all of these very important angles not pressured at this point, and that it's sort of a pretty solid TSM hold, regardless of if a couple of bodies have gone throughout the way. Here, they're going for the hold above. They've got themselves stretched into stock. They've got it all locked off, and I don't know if it's a rotation through onto Archives, which we'll sometimes see. As I said, it's a great place that you'll often get a player play, but here, unless Merc just sort of chills, they've got the rotation off to the side of the stairs instead.
When I'm thinking about this side, I somehow think back at the European Open qualifier we had, a close qualifier, with Vitality trying to breach the quad wall. That didn't really work out for them too much. But I was thinking about it. There's actually nothing that currently stops it. Yes, there's mute gemmers, but they're easily taken out. There's, however, no Thatcher use. So Elevate feel confident enough that they're going to be able to breach and open up whatever they want without having the need for that Thatcher. So, you know, you can use your grenades. You can use other pieces of utility like the Twitch drone, for example, to get the actual mute gemmers. Because due to the infinite range on the shock drone now, you no longer need to be close. I thought for a second there he actually saw someone, but it's going to be Nate that takes the first amount of damage. He is quite close already, and Nitro gets spotted. However, not the kill that will land right after.
Well, there goes Bolo. He's going to see if he can try and get some support, but in the meantime, Nate's already driven his way through. Merc gone inside the connector. There's a bit of revenge, though. Bolo from above. He has these angles set up. As I said, the last time he was able to sort of play on Banana with the C4 and wasn't massively challenged. This time, they're in underneath him, trying to go fishing. And Charla, his connections, all of these other players not too far away from them are slowly being dropped. Geo pops a bullet from the elevator, gives a bit of the game away of his position, pre-fires towards the split in the second, and pulls his way out of there. He knew as soon as he pressed the trigger on that first, it was going to turn into a slip and slide fight, and well, he's slowed away.
Exactly where it was at that moment in time. There is, however, a yellow ping coming through, but he gets droned out. It's a trade kill. Nay gets the headshot onto Bolo, who gets the down onto Napew. So it's going to be a 2-on-3 effectively. However, Sapper is in a prime position to go for the pickup here, and as they read that there is going to be indeed a form of a pickup, it is Geo that needs to try and cancel it out. Sapper takes a small amount of damage, and they're trying to defend this down body as much as they can, like it's a bomb chassis or a side entrance here. As the flashbang's gone through, he sees the one, goes for the kill. Let's do men down, and a finish as well. Just one, however, as it's only up to Achieve now, trying to come around the corner. The beepers give away his position, and as he tries to pre-fire whilst falling back, there's actually a man that jumps to the window as well. Onigiri
takes the head off from the far side, and that is it. Elevate, they've been able to pull one back here onto open. It's a bit of a 50-50 swing, and TSM, they just didn't quite have the handle on the pace that was applied to Merc underneath. As soon as that sort of screamed through, obviously the first C4 was ripped and torn and didn't quite get the kill itself. Nay just drove directly to the heart of that hold, caught his way past, and then obviously Bolo was able to pick up who came in second. But at that point, they've already sort of put the pressure onto the control. They've taken over the territory, and then they begin to control a little bit more aspects, and suddenly you've got isolated players. You've got Geo isolated, you've got Bolo isolated, and at that point, it turns into just a continued aggression. Open is where they're going to double down. This is where they think they might be able to at least lock it off a 4-2.
I mean, they did get quite close, and as you mentioned, it was really that first gunfight that did not really go in the way of TSM. If they would have been able to pick up Napew there, then they wouldn't have had to throw 3 more bodies through the archive. So try and secure these 2 downs that they managed to put down on that board, and it could have been a completely different round. Now, 2-on-3. TSM still on the lead. They could potentially lose that here, and as a result, Elevate would equalize the score. Well, they are very certain of the fact that they can lock it off here. We do not see any changes really coming in the actual setup of things. Same castle barricades being used. You know, basics are there. We might see some positioning changes to come through. However, Gio yet again will be providing a bit of support by using that shotgun and the castle barricades potentially to create these small openings towards the actual teller's area.
Okay, Elevate, can you double it down? Or has TSM been able to learn a little bit, read into some of this play and have themselves prepped for, well, whatever you decide to throw at them? Onigiri set himself up, trying to put some pressure here from the opposite side and see if he can lean in that open window on the far corner of the entire map, and achieved is above. He was under a little bit more pressure than he was before as Onigiri sort of slips and slides his way up and down, but no true connection. They're steady on their call here. The drone, the pull, and the idea of where the players are is still slowly being pieced together. Merc hasn't been rushed because they assume that they'll get caught this time around by Bolo, so they're playing themselves a little bit more cautious.
Grenades are still being tossed in, however, to potentially get rid of some of that utility, and as the drone follows right after. Snade is trying to find the information that is required for him to actually push through into the teller's office. Bolo is quite close. That's one drone. Is still being droned out. I'm not quite sure if he heard it. And then I know exactly he's playing near those windows. However, most of them have been closed off for the latest small rework or map buff, as they are being called. He definitely knows now that he's being pushed out, jumps through the window, and Nerix is going to be able to pick up the kill on the back of the phone call that also comes through. It's going to be a 5v4 situation. The entry yet once more, and the trade, however, does come through. Gio brings it back, takes a important kill yet once more. It's Napier that dies, and with that, gone 6, information and grenades all off the board.
Yeah, the positioning there from Gio, he was ready to try and respond to one of the plays that was put down, and the players removed as Bolo was obviously sort of hounded by the pressure of those drones and the bodies that swing in. A great take, but returned, which was the difference last time round. Everything was a little bit slower, a little bit more disconnected, and this puts Elevate in a little bit of a trickier situation because that momentum that gets cut off, that sort of gets slowed as they've got to try and rebuild and rework out where the players have gone to. Obviously, a lot of them have pulled themselves back towards the site. They don't need to have a massive stretch for now. It's a dance and a dabble here of that C4, but everybody is on the same floor at this point. They've got that stretch, and Sapper sees the fight, can't quite get the full connection against Gio, and that's not even Gio, it's Merc that cuts in and cuts him in half. Able to hit him with the shotgun. Gio himself, there he goes though. He was on the other side of that fight. There's the opening on the split and just sees the shoulder. Can't get the connection. Keep shooting, DCH, keep shooting. Finally finds it, locked in by Onigiri on the backside, but 20 seconds of 3 versus 2. They still have to find their way into the site. Achieved is just holding off on the top of green. He's making sure that nobody can go on those main stairs of the swing round, so they're going to have to swing him. They take the fight and win it, though. It's a 3 versus 1. Charla, all that's left inside the position of itself, swings to the IQ, drops it. Does he have a drone? That's a question we might be about to find out. Nerix is looking too, but no. Is the answer a post-plant situation? Tries to find a cheeky one from the angle previously used by Gio, but there's no swing this way round. A pre-fire finds the first, or... well, a perfect catch actually pulled against DCH. Nerix is just blinding every direction. That'll be a big audio cue, and that is Nerix.
He knew where he was right there and tried to go for the pre-fire instead, but the SMG-33 coming in clutch in the end there. It's a difficult gun to control, but in the end, worked out just fine. Equalized the score here. Managed to take the side control. There was nothing they could do. There was no yokai in a position to stop the plan from happening. And Elevate, they take that lead and make sure... or not lead, but they close the lead and make sure that they have the opportunity here to, well, put up a second half that is better than TSM's.
Okay, TSM turn of the half, and it's an even one. Elevate, they've been able to keep themselves fighting here, and well, outside of Sapper, who hasn't had the true connection with this game as of yet, but to be fair, he's very often playing those support roles. However, when you're up against a team like TSM, where all of them have this habitual need to pop off just to create hype moments, and they're very good at it, you sort of need to have a lot of this potential to try and respond to some of these firefights. Otherwise, you get unfortunately lost, regardless of the heft of the role that you're bringing with utility. Sitting out in a 9-man game becomes a little bit more uncomfortable. I was about to say a little bit more uncomfortable.
Lotto.
A lot.
I actually use that word unironically every now and then.
Oh, do you?
It's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, but English is
a lot.
First language.
It is a lot, but
it is mine.
It sounds cuter when it's a little.
Ah,
you know, that's it.
Back to CEO. Back to CEO. There we go. For the second time today. It wasn't really a preference of TSM, and here it is the first. And I like that we see an Oryx on paper.
Yeah, on paper it is great, because we have seen it, what it can do. And it worked out quite well on a map like Bank, but Nate for now is just looking through these little windows here, looking if he can see someone, if he can see a feet or a head that he can take cleanly off. Right now I'm starting to struggle with the English language as well.
He sees him.
He sees him, doesn't realize it though, also doesn't get hurt, so at least he is sitting patiently, sitting safe for here for now.
That's it. Geo is also repelling on this side. They pre-fire the door, and the thing is, if this drone catches him, surely it's over, because he can try and ram a dash out of there. There he is. There he goes. There he goes. Yeah, Merc was sitting right above him, and obviously Nate saw him, but at the same time, we are in a much less stressful position looking for those arms and limbs and legs, and unfortunately his stress was punished. They're still stacked up. Trying to find DCH now, and obviously the player inside Kanto to try and get control of the top of that elevator corner. On a Geary, he has himself a huge gun. He has some of the reinforcements and some of the solidity to work alongside, but with the fact that, well, we have many grenades here, and that's probably going to be under a lot of fire in just a second.
Pings are coming through, they have the expectation, one is out there, and well, they're not completely wrong. We have one in the top of the elevator down there. It's the Maestro that is currently watching to try and figure out if there is any form of information he can get. Merc is ready to jump in from the skylight here. At least he's holding it for now, trying to see if there's any rotation he can catch off, but none appear. And Nagiri, however, in a bit of a dangerous position with Bolo below just a couple of seconds ago. He's playing with the Maestro Cam for now, but just a grenade through the elevator. Something that we have seen quite often. I mean, it's a PC utility. It's not too strange to see that happen. And as DCH gets himself spotted, it's a grenade that will be directed towards him. It's not going to hit him, however, as he's aggressive underneath the windows now, and surely that will be called out. But the pings are not coming through, and the grenades have been used. And that means that Bolo no longer has anything to use vertically-wise. But the Chief still does, and he can knock one in right behind DCH and get an entry there, but it's Nerix that finds a response.
Well, there's a Chief to find his second on the windows, gets a great take there, and the return, it's Nerix though, locking everything off on that top stairs. Geo, he's revealed on the camera, the bubble is spotting him, but in the meantime, Achieved is just spotting Elevate players and removing from the game. Nerix gets caught off by his fourth that round, and Achieve just drove them home to put them back in the lead.
They have it 4-on-3. They might have lost it just momentarily, but they're back at it again after attack here as well. It started off with a great entry here. This is why you drone every corner. It might cost you a second extra per room. That's why you start droning early on, but you might be able to catch off someone that's hiding like that. And that is a free kill then. There's nothing he can do. He needs to run away because he knows he's going to be in that sticky situation there, and as a result, turns his back towards you. And with that, TSM found the first opening. Grenade to follow up for a second one after, and well, from there on forward, they just continued to push the side and trade. Use all the angles they have to their disposal to ensure themselves for a good round outcome. Elevate will decide to not run it back, something that TSM did before. That was round 5 and 6 when open area was played twice in a row, and twice it was Elevate that managed to secure the W on it. Now, we're headed towards the open area instead, which is the side I just quoted, but it's not the run it back one from Elevate, as they have just lost CEO. And let's see how they'll play it. There is hatches being opened up, which allows Napew to use that Oryx to jump up to safety or to potential danger, but also for opportunities to go for a flank, more importantly, which might guide them into rounds.
Okay, TSM, that was a pretty ferocious opening take. As you said, it was built on that drone work. It was built on pulling all the players' locations and going from there onwards. Here, you're looking at open. You're looking at what was, once upon a time, highly regarded as the worst site to be held because of how awkward it was. How awkward it was to sort of keep people at arm's length before you just suddenly suffer to somebody swinging around on a window and taking off 2 heads. Here it starts with your verticality. Nerix inside Janitors is a big power position. They're going to have to see if they could try and get a control of here, and whether they go for a double push across the top of square, which is what they're setting up these 0 cams for, or just try and face it front on. Either way, actually, on a Geary. On a rotate there as the first to be caught by the big table.
Taking a big amount of damage right here, and he's still being spotted out by these cams. And as he tries to step to the side, it's achieved. That just swings in to get him with Bolo and will be able to pick up the very first kill. It's the Banana now under control. The player's still inside the elevator. One in Janitor as well. That is going to be the big issue here. It's a spot from Napiu and the very first kill to come through as well. Make that two as he finds them from the elevator there. This Geo, however, that spots a flank but is unable to secure that kill. Will at least force him back as Chala now needs to take this Janitor under control. There is, however, a castle barricade in the way, which prohibits him from doing so.
They're going to see if they can try and put the fight there onto this quad wall as well. We talked about how it was a big point of contention that when slowed was kind of a failure. There goes that connection wall, gets the castle. Clever use of an exothermic there to sort of stretch its range and make that a little bit more awkward for the player to play behind it. It opens up options, and that's exactly what Elevate need right now, is try and push this advantage. The more space they can create, the more uncomfortable those remaining players alive on TSM caught in the crossfires can be, because, well, suddenly there's so many other crossfires they've got to try and be aware of or trade situations. There it is. They're going to see if they can kind of stack themselves up around that explosive. They're, as I said, moving towards the breach, but Merc, here it is on the other side, the triple wall inside Archives, looking for the close fight.
And wants to make sure that he gets the perfect angle there as he sets himself up. The can openers are being used to open up some of the hatches as well, just like the castle barricades. So no, everybody has dropped. However, that doesn't mean safety quite yet. Napiu is still alive, can use these hatches to rotate around wherever he wants, and that might be exactly what it will do at some point in time if he feels it's necessary. 30 seconds though, and that means that TSM needs to start pushing the site. There's some pressure coming through from the side of the elevators. It's Sepper actually at the bottom of the square, looking to go more aggressive into the Archives area. And with Geo now pushing up from the top, it's the same for Chala to pick up a kill. 14 seconds in a 3-on-3 situation. They need to force themselves through. Nay goes down. It is DCH in a crucial position, who picks up one, finds the second and drops the diffuser. It's a triple kill for him. Oh, from the same cubicle. As you toss your pen away, it is Elevate that win a very important round here.
DCH went huge there, buried in the back line. The only paperwork he was doing was which TSM members he just took out of the game, holding as a backline. And I said that Elevate sort of maybe had an advantage when things started to open up, because they could play more of these cross angles and make things awkward for the smaller man count on their opponents. But then suddenly, wow, who needs cross angles? I'll just swing from one to the next to the next. A fantastic hold on that back line of the single player. And 4-4, we stay level.
Yeah, we're not doing any big leads for the side of TSM now. They were getting close, even though the time, of course, was running out otherwise. And they had an option to actually try and take the fight a bit more carefully to DCH there, but he had none of it. He just shut them down as they had to flood the side due to the little amount of time that was left. And now, we head back to the lockers. The open area has been won. That is a mission success for Elevate. Now they need to try and find one more on that bottom floor, just to ensure that they are the ones in the lead this time around, and of course put up some success in the potential rotation that is starting to develop itself as well. What they failed to do within CEO, they of course might have to come back there at some point.
I mean, Elevate, they stuck themselves in, they locked it down, and now we're heading down, obviously, to lockers. First time we're seeing this from their side, and this hold, the extension with Castle onto that back line, gives them that rotation onto the main stairs. They might try and play and bait some of that length of time on the top floor that we've seen a lot of teams do. You can be in a dangerous spot if your opponents are very good at droning, which, to be fair, TSM, they have been. They've been really good at sort of getting an idea of where the players are and going for the takes. You can't always account for a single player popping off and getting a 3K, but still, the work before then, the work in the build-up to that situation was all very well put together. Bolo, he's going in now. He's found himself comfortable inside the CEOs and rotating onto Banana towards the top elevator. He might try and put a quick bout of pressure down onto these stairs, moving very swift.
Cannot forget the double kill from Napiu before, as well as a Nitro is going to be tossed and popped, but no one will be found. TSM for now, hold on. That's one piece of utility less they will have to worry about in the late game, but this is a mirror window for an extension. Together with the castle barricades, it is going to be that open area hold that comes into place. Onigiri gives away that there is at least someone at that very first floor as Merc goes for a bit of a chase. It's him that takes a lot of damage here. He finds one, actually deals a lot of damage to him as he gets challenged by the second, finds that head, goes for the third. Again, as DCH is low on HP, so is Merc as he finds himself right behind the mirror window yet once more. He knows he will be hunted by Merc and the remaining players of TSM, but Nay will be able to shut down Bolo. That at least brings the number count back towards even.
Achieved now, swinging around the top of the main stairs, going to see if he can try and trip his way down. DCH is looking for a fight there across the core towards Tellers. It's Merc, and well, both of them are pretty injured. It just takes a scratch through any of the scenery in the middle to find a kill, and DCH actually is a little bit more cautious about this engagement. He's going to pull back. Nay is also heftily injured. It's still the site down in the basement itself. They've done a lot to waste time and play against players up top. They took Bolo, took a couple of grenades, and took the trouble to trade for a castle. Well, it's not the end of the world there. Onigiri is a huge hot player, but in terms of utility there between the two, the Iana's lost more.
Sure, hatches are being opened up. Merc low on HP, but will be in a position where he can still hold this angle for an eventual execute later on to try and stop any potential rotating players from getting back into that site. Now, there is 30 seconds left on the clock. There is going to be 3 smoke canisters as the first just has been popped and the second is put into a position to detonate later on. There's going to be concussions to be tossed in, and Nerek's playing close around the main stairs will be in an important fight actually to come in soon. If they lose that control, then suddenly the red hallway might fall as well. That is a mirror window that's currently being held. The plants will be coming in quite close. The cover will not be there quite. The Sapper tries to play around with a shotgun and tosses the smoke instead. It's going to take a lot of damage there. With 5 seconds left, it's Nerek that picks up yet another kill.
There it is, the smoked out on the far side. Can't get the connection, and Nerek's locks it off. The final one comes through for...
Who knows? Maybe
only the best for the best.
Only the best indeed.
See, we are heading back in now, and as I said, Elevate, they are able to put themselves ahead for the first time this entire game. It's not really been a massive insurmountable lead that TSM's held. The biggest difference was around difference of 2.
Yep.
But still, if you look at this site that we're up against now, it's the only one TSM have taken on their attack out of the 3 that we've seen so far. If Elevate somehow are able to adapt it and bring it home, suddenly they're sitting on map point, and suddenly TSM, they found themselves on the backside of 3 wrong rounds, and they've got to at least thread 2 to get themselves to OT.
There's a lot to adapt to, because it was a double entry that came through on the side of TSM towards Elevate, and you know, you just gotta put it like that. If that grenade wouldn't have landed, it would have just been that one-man disadvantage. And in the end, it did come quite close. I believe it was a 2v1 situation in the end that was won by TSM. So, you know, if those double entries do not go their way, if you actually get that very first kill, suddenly that's a big adaptation already, and suddenly 2 men extra to fight with at that very moment. And that should be a very big help as well for their setup. So I'm having quite some faith actually in the fact that Elevate might be able to pick up this round here and put themselves onto 2 map points. Potentially take up this first map against TSM as well.
Someone's working in stock. Oh no. Oh wait, it's just a fake. Imagine if people could do that with their real jobs. Imagine if you could just, for anyone who works an office job or a service job, imagine just being able to like leave them behind like the retail till. I would have loved that for the years I worked in retail.
During the pandemic, there were a lot of people that had like 2-3 hour long meetings where you weren't supposed to talk. They just recorded a video of themselves and put it on loop.
Perfect. Genius.
Perfect. It's basically a Prisma.
Basically a Prisma.
They won't find out until they shoot right through it.
And the real Nay? Are they eyeing up a jump out? I mean, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing, and anything to take a windfall away from them. We've seen several players hurtle themselves out of those bank windows. It's sort of maybe the most famous Hail Mary throw, because you'll take a kill, you'll likely die. That's really the trade-off. The return is so far away. There he goes. And he's going to see if he can get in this new solid cubby just on the far split. And
he's just staying up there. He's
sort of sit. Time. Exactly. This is it. You sit, you wait, you waste time. Merc has to go hunting. He's going to see if he can get it locked. There's also the Capitao above, who might try and get a connection there. Oh, not a Capitao even. It was Charla on the zero.
No.
There it is. Merc's able to find the fight. Sorry, I saw the logo from so far away. I just see green, and I think Capitao. I don't know why.
That's a 0. But for a second there, you know, a lot of the shots were actually missing. I was afraid of the fact that, you know, he might be able to just go for a bit of a flick there and find the head instead. But as I said, you know, you're wasting time at that point. They know you're there. There's not really anything they can do. Repelling is definitely not an option, so you need to run to get in the right position. DCH, however, finds himself in the opportunity now to go for another jump out as well. Wonder if they go for just 2 of them and then again start wasting time. This time, however, Geo is quite close, so it's not going to be the best of opportunities, but he does still find the kill. That is going to be one of the members that was repelling down, and as the flashbangs are being tossed in right now, a new repel appears. DCH still could go for it technically, but not very soon anymore as a grenade comes in from below and will finish him off. Bolo gets the trade.
He was already massively injured. It didn't take that much of a direct connection to get him off the board, but they found one anyway. Merc as well puts the body balance back into their favor. One either side of the janitor's wall, and suddenly it is just Sapper. Now, he hasn't, as I said before, had the biggest impact on this game, but if his Echo drones and the Echo himself could be the connection, that could be the lock-in pushes, sees the side and Sliver drops it. It's an old ping. There's just both behind you. There's one. He's got to reload. He gets it. Sapper! Didn't have the biggest impact before, but it will be so hard to highlight a single player's impact bigger than what we just saw. 6-4.
And that will be a map point here coming in from Elevator. They're smiling for it. What a play that was. He was afraid about an alt ping still being there. He tried to go for it, but of course it all started off with Nay jumping out, wasting a lot of time on Merc. And yes, he was able to fight back. He was able to put a triple kill of himself on the board, but after that, it was the first kill. On the swing in from the window, he managed to pick up. Then he was afraid of the fact that one might still be there. Forced to swap over to the Bearing 9. Reloading, last second, finds the headshot. What a play that was.
I mean, it was a moment to shine, wasn't it? To that point, he'd only got his first kill over the past 2 rounds. And then he does a play like that. It's a heck of a clutch. 6-4 TSM. You are 2 rounds away from pulling it to OT on your map selection. A map that so far your history in just this tournament was a 7-1 for you and then a 2-7 against you. This one is, well, whichever way it goes, a lot more even, but I'm sure you want it to be pulled into your pocket at this point because, well, there's still points to be played for, obviously. The Furia game versus DZ is happening on the other stream. And with DZ and Elevate both sitting on 4 points and TSM sitting on 7, if Elevate take the 3 points from this, they will top TSM because they'll have the head-to-head there. Yeah. But then if DZ take the 3 points,
then they will be knocked down into at least 3rd place on TSM side.
Because DZ have the head-to-head against TSM and Elevate have the head-to-head against both American teams.
Yeah, so they will be in 1st place. So winning this with a 2-0 is going to be the big dream here for the side of Elevate, because then suddenly a team that looked like might have been relegated out yesterday if they would have lost against BDS with a 2-0 is finding themselves in the 1st seat. That's how crazy it can get. You could go literally from 5th to 1st in the couple of 2 games here. And that is what they're trying to achieve. And with a clutch like that from the side of Sapper is definitely going to be helping out. Mirror window will be destroyed. There's no one in a position to get them off of Narix's mirror window. And that means he will potentially have to fall back. Bolo, however, is on a bit of a hunt, and as Nay is waiting to go for the jump up here, it's Bolo that actually quickly checks the elevator, but now is not going to be that aware of it anymore. If the pressure starts to come through, he might go for that jump up and might actually pick up Bolo. He's on his drone right now. This is the perfect moment to jump up.
I mean, it's really just a trade-off here. Nay has intel. Nay has an idea. Nay hasn't gone just yet. It is quite loud. There's another man on a drone. There's another eye set locked in. He's up. He's up. He's down. He just got caught by the drone at the last split second. He's found his way out of there. It was almost a moment.
The drone just coming through, basically stopping that play from happening just in time for the side of TSM, because that could have been detrimental. The first kill comes in, however. It's on the side of TSM. They make sure that Nerix is no longer going to be a threat for the rest of this round, and as Onigiri is hiding in a very close corner here on the bottom of square, he could be in a crucial position to shut them down later on, as the Chief takes a lot of damage from some verticality. He's on one. He needs to live, but continues to open up for now at least. As Sapper playing that mirror window till the rest of the bottom of square. Nay now in a gunfight here with Merc is not going to be able to find that kill. A 2-man advantage for TSM, and they need to make sure that this one sticks.
Onigiri is the crossfire all the way through to Archives. He's waiting for somebody to swing a little bit wider, but there's a lot of work being done on the top floor here still. DCH suffers next. Bolo wants to set himself up for the drop. They're burning out everything, and he finds himself comfortable. This grenade is going right into that corner cubicle, and that player pulls out, but they are pulled out of it. DCH dropped. Sapper's able to find Chala in and amongst the mess of this all, and Sapper goes down himself. It's 2 downs, 1 now, and just 1 player left on their feet. All the TSM players generally in one close corner with 1 split. It's Bolo to lock off the 2-6-5.
Managed to find 1 there, but not more than that, and as they did just drone out the Orcs. It unfortunately did not have the impact that we would like it to have, because that could have been the end of the round for TSM there if you managed to jump up and pick up the double kill as a result. And 6-5 current score will still be going. 1 more map point Elevate have available to them, and they'll choose to go back to the lockers to do so. It's a time where the actual place where time got drained before on the side of TSM, and they need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. They need to speed it up just ever so slightly, but as there is going to be a bunch of throwables available, as in 2 C4s and 3 smoke canisters, it might be a bit difficult to get that default plan down.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
TSM, 1 round away from pulling yourself into OT. You've got to go down to lockers, and this was chaotic. I think that's the thing that we sort of saw when it came down to it, is try to jump down, get the plant in, try to see if they could get it stuck in and amongst the madness. A last-ditch, last-gasp smoke canister that popped off took care of the diffuser carrier, and suddenly TSM found themselves with about 10 seconds and a handful of elevator players still scattered around going for aggressive firefights. At that sort of mantle that everybody's wiggling on, it's usually going to be Elevate that find that stability, because they are on that defense. They have that time working into their favor. Have the same stretch, have the same extensions, have the same angles, and I'm curious to see if TSM have more of an idea of who they want to pick out first, because there was almost more engagements going into their favor in the early game.
Definitely was. Looking to make sure that they have the early advantage again. Overall, so far, 8 of the opening kills have gone their way in these 11 rounds. That means only 3 in the hands of Elevate. So the opening moment is not really the issue. It is Elevate that managed to come back time and time again. And as Nate does find out, the player of Bolo here, that's the repel, and that is going to be the kill right on time. And that is the opening frag here for Elevate. And then I'll bring you another stat. Every single time Elevate did manage to get the opening kill, they did win the round, which is 3 out of 3 times so far. So let's see if they can continue that.
I mean, I did point it out, Pulse in that room is so dangerous. Really just has a great lead in there. You see that extension, especially when teams love to play in that space. And, well, Bolo won't unfortunately be able to play in that space this round. It's up to the remaining 4 TSM players if they want to see if they can try and solidify all of the points and put that pressure down on this, their map pick, their choice, before we head over to Oregon as the second fill-in, which, to be fair, it still has been a good battle, a good sort of field for both teams, but the most recent experience comes in that BDS game, a 7-5. Merc, slow and steady, creeps his way around. There's a body to his left and to his right. There's one just in the corner cubicle. It's Onigiri, drops the drone, just sees the player and finds him too. Merc is caught out. DCH came round to offer some support, but there's more fire coming through. Onigiri is found. Taken out of the equation, but look at the timer, 1:10, pretty much about to be on our screens in 5 seconds. And here, TSM is still trying to knock on the door above the site.
This was the issue. The time was an issue for TSM the last time they were here, and now they're on a man down and still do not have control of the open area. Drones are coming through. Is DCH been droned? Yeah, he definitely has been. They should be aware. Actually,
No, he wasn't.
wasn't
They
aware.
went straight past him into kitchen. DCH pops up, pops two. He's going for his third triple kill. No, he dips out of the office. Charlotte dips down too. He's chasing a man, and well, that is all they could get. Elevate 7-5 on this first map. They're able to steal bank from TSM.
Was it really a steal, though? Was it really a steal? I mean, maybe with that clutch of Sepper, it was indeed a steal.
Well, it's a steal because it's TSM's map.
That is...